Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you're all doing good. It's been a little while since I last spoke to you guys. Truth be told, imposter syndrome and other things of that nature were kind of biting me, and I'll probably talk about that in another video. Today I came to talk to you guys about the fact that your girl is now in therapy and sort of how I came to the decision that that was something that I needed to start the process of as a matter of urgency, because and how I found my therapist and all that fun stuff. So if you are interested, continue watching. Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe, you know, all of the fun stuff, the buttons down below, and let's get into it. So for a little bit of backstory, first of all, I've done things like CBT on the NHS before, but I think they're like 6 weeks worth of cognitive behavioural therapy, and essentially that's pretty much it. And I felt like that was useful for the place that I was at that time, having just never had any professional help or anything like that. But at the same time, it was like, it felt kind of surface level. It was dealing with sort of the thoughts that I think and the ways in which I behave, but I didn't feel like it was necessarily dealing with like some of the real roots of those issues. Obviously, also it being 6 weeks or 6 sessions, it wasn't necessarily for me enough time to unpack everything that I had going on. For more context, I am the firstborn daughter in a Nigerian household. Need I go on? So for me, growing up, there was a lot of what can only be described as childhood trauma, and it's really interesting because I'm still coming to terms with understanding it as trauma. For me, it was normal, and I think that's a huge part of the problem. I had normalized a lot of rubbish and a lot of nonsense, and it was really starting to affect me, but I wasn't realizing how it was affecting me. I think some of the things that I went through also growing up meant that I had a really strong tendency to like gaslight myself, and then it would be when I would like speak to like friends and other people that they would be like, no hun, you're not crazy, whatever's just happened in whatever situation you're describing is messed up. In my previous video I mentioned that I didn't feel that living with my parents was a good thing for my mental health, and I was absolutely right. I eventually did move out. To cut an incredibly long story short, I had an emergency with a house that I was staying in, and it meant that I needed to move back home. I had figured that well, we're all adults, we've grown past a lot of situations that we've been in, it will be fine, like I'll be able to handle all of it. For the first maybe month and a bit it was fine, and then old patterns started to reignite. So like there was a lot of manipulation involved, gaslighting involved, and then things came to a head about 4 months in to me being with them, and it just got to a point where I realized, yeah, I can never be in this situation again. I can never be in this situation ever again, like not even one time. So I basically moved out in less than a month. But what I didn't realize was how much damage had been done in such a short space of time. It wasn't until I started seeing certain things play out in my interpersonal relationships that I realized that a lot of my self-doubt and anxiety, like crippling anxiety, had really crept back up on me, and that I was oftentimes in discussions with people that I cared about projecting like heavily onto them like a lot of my insecurities. I thank God for the people in my life, like they're genuinely amazing people, but I was just like, this is not fair. In as much as my trauma is not my fault, it is my responsibility at this point. Unfortunately, it's not something that I can continue to dump on other people. And I was just like, this isn't fair to me, and it's not fair to them, but particularly to myself. And so I had always been like, I need therapy, like honey, I need therapy. But it got to a point where I was just like, no, this is genuinely a necessary expense. I can't get around this, and it needs to happen now, because I was constantly on high alert, I was constantly hyper vigilant, everything made me anxious, everything made me worried, and I was just like, I can't go on like this. And so I was having a conversation with my friend, and she just asked, oh, how's your family? And I just told her, honey bun, this is what's going on. And I just said to her, I think I need therapy, like, and I think I need it urgently. And she was like, oh my gosh, speak to my therapist. And I was like, oh, Oh, that was easy. The day before as well, actually, I had been looking on, I think it's the BACP website. I will link everything that I looked at down below as well. So she gave me the therapist number. And when I tell you, it took me, I want to say, it took me a few days, a week or so, to even summon the courage, and I don't know why, to drop her a message. So yeah, I've not been in therapy for all that long at all. It's been about a month. But one thing I will say, it's definitely allowed me to see things a lot more clearly, and yeah, just being able to sort of understand that what I went through wasn't okay and I didn't deserve it. I think it's shifted my perspective on what I deserve. It's also made me more aware of my triggers as well. And me and my therapist have not yet got to the triggers conversation, but just because of the conversations that we've been having, the things that we've been unpacking and discussing, it's like I'm able to look at a lot of things more objectively and be like, oh, Praise, you're feeling a bit dysregulated here, aren't you? And just being able to like honor my boundaries a little bit more, because that's another thing that I was never really entitled to as a child, my boundaries. So I'm learning and going through all of that stuff. I will also say, I personally went with someone who matched me as a person as best as possible. So it was really important for me to go for a black woman who was a Christian, just because a lot of what I've been through also pertained to me not feeling understood, and I felt like in a space that is supposed to be therapeutic and healing, I wanted to be understood on as many levels as was possible. So having somebody that matched me and my demographic as closely as possible was a priority for me. And so if that is something that you are particularly concerned about, I would definitely recommend going for someone that matches you, just because I wanted someone to be able to sort of understand like the things that happen and be able to have that conversation from a place of understanding, rather than me also having to explain that on top of everything else that I have to now explain. And I wanted somebody who understood what it's like growing up as a black woman in a black household, and some of the things that come with that anyway. So that was really important to me. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful, and just gave a little bit of insight into my little journey that I'm very much still on, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.